listening to The Chris Maher Show, live on YouTube.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the program. I'm almost kind of messing up my intro here. Again, welcome everybody. The Chris Maher Show here, May 9th, 2023. Lots to talk about with the draft lottery and the unfortunate way that kind of went. We'll be talking about that. Connor Bedard to Chicago. They get the first overall pick. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. A couple other things for me. I'm building a website. I'm kind of in the process of that, so I'll be talking about that in a couple of minutes. Couple of things there. I have some UFA talk, different things that kind of look at for the off season, since everything is going to be kind of different here moving forward, especially with now Danny B picking 7th, all of that stuff. Cutter Gauthier and Ronnie Attard going to Team USA for the Worlds. Scott Lawton also going for Team Canada. Lawton being one of the assistant captains. Gauthier did get hurt today as well. Took an elbow up high, so that's not ideal. Not the best news for Gauthier, and really for the Flyers up until that point. I didn't see any other update. I did see the hit. Not a good hit at all. Not ideal, especially for a younger kid who's in, a younger kid just coming out of college, trying to, just to play and all that stuff, and just how much experience he's going to get. And I thought it was good for Alex Tuck, stepping up for him. He fights. It's been a while, I think, since you've actually seen a fight in an IIHF game. I've never seen one, whether it was World Juniors or anything like that. Not ideal at all. Unfortunately, that's kind of just how it went for Gauthier, and for the rest of the tournament. Again, it was the couple preseason game, preseason kind of like exhibition games, kind of to start the tournament. So we'll kind of see what happens. I do have a couple things here that I kind of wanted to mention as well. The website, that's kind of something that I've been looking to kind of build for really the past year and a half. It's kind of taken a little bit to kind of get it going, because at the time I wanted to do it, I didn't really have the not the resources or anything. It was kind of just it just wasn't going to work out with school and kind of my work schedule and everything. So I kind of had to push it back a little bit. And now that we're kind of going into the summer, I have a couple of months here. I kind of wanted to kind of get everything kind of settled and underway. So again, if anybody for people listening as well, if anybody's interested, we're looking for writers, people that help out with social media, photographers, videographers, really anything graphic design. It's kind of just like the expansion kind of what my YouTube is. Going to be kind of expanding on that as well. So just again, I'm trying to just add some different things to it. So I think for right now, again, I think kind of the whole idea behind it, for me at least, is to kind of have a different just a different type of coverage for the Flyers. You know what I mean? I don't want to keep seeing just having articles or just having this, that, the other. I want to do something different, and that's kind of been my whole MO with kind of making content and this whole thing is I want to be different, and I want to be able to kind of have that out there. So this is kind of the next step in that. So if anybody is interested or anything like that, let me know. So a couple of other things as well. Jamie Pascal going to be joining me at 6:30, about 25 minutes or so. Going to be talking about a lot of different things, from Oh boy, where do we start? We got some off-season stuff. Bedard last night, obviously, that was kind of one of the main things that we're going to be talking about. But I kind of wanted to get into some more stuff with the website because, I think I'm trying to add some different coverage. And I think, for me, I just wanted to kind of put this out there as well for anybody, again, wanting to join, stuff like that. Again, looking for writer, social media, photographer, videographer, anything. It's kind of that next step, because I think for the past couple of years, right, I've done YouTube and I've done this show, and the show kind of changed a little bit. I had to do a little bit of a rebrand with it, and it's been pretty much the same show since last summer. I've kind of kept all that together, and I've kind of wanted to change a couple of different things. So I'm getting into some different things, and I have some stuff coming this summer. Like I've hinted at a couple of times, that I kind of want to add into this, and kind of the same thing with the website. So I think just for now, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not really trying to add, too much stuff. I just want to kind of keep everything in the same boat, and kind of just add with the site and then kind of grow from there. I'm not sure how the site's gonna go in the beginning. I'm really excited for it. I'm nervous, but I'm also excited at the same time, because it's a kind of a new thing, and it's gonna be a lot to kind of deal with. But I think to start, I'm excited for it, because I think there's gonna be it's going to be different. Like I feel like this upcoming year for the Flyers is going to be different. Tristan, what's up, buddy? Thanks for tuning in. Jeffrey, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in as well. I just think for right now, and kind of where the team is at, I think there's different things that you can kind of build with this. And I think as the years go on, and as we kind of get through the rebuild, and as we everything kind of evolves, you're going to see more of that different style, and like it's going to be a different era of Flyers hockey, and I kind of want to make that like a different era of coverage kind of behind it. So again, if anybody wants to join or is interested, let me know. I am getting a call here though, so let me pick this one up. Tristan,
Chris?
What's up, buddy?
What do you think about that draft yesterday?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting into here. Not ideal at all. Unfortunately, it kind of sucked, because Chicago gets it, right? And
You know why? You know why? Because they don't have Kane and Taze anymore.
yeah, yep, exactly. They didn't, Kane leaves, Taze is gone, all that stuff. There was a tweet, I think it was from Brian Smith, that was like, if Taze had scored on that breakaway in the final game against the Flyers on Sandstrom in overtime, then the odds could have been different. And since Chicago lost, they ended up getting in that spot, all that stuff. So like, it could have been different.
I have a question. What are the Flyers going to do with Sandstrom this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
I feel bad for the kid right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna keep Sandstrom. I think they're probably gonna move on from him. I don't see him staying. I don't. He didn't play well, and Torts was kind of really all over him up until that point. He had some good games at the end of the year.
What about Urson?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Urson's our backup.
I mean, Urson's playing like Carter Hart right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Urson was great. I mean, for the season. So I mean, I would keep Urson. Obviously, they're going to keep Urson, but Sandstrom. I mean, if you have to keep him, yeah. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I just don't think he's going to play much. Is kind of the problem. I feel like it's kind of hard for me to tell, because go ahead.
And another thing, then what are they going to do with Kevin Hayes? I don't really want to lose that guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like Hayes is gone.
he wants to stay in Philadelphia.
I don't know. I think it's harder to kind of keep a guy like that because of torts. Clearly they don't see eye to eye. Oh yeah, there's no way that they see eye to eye. It's pretty obvious they don't.
What happened with him and Torrance?
Hayes and Torts. I mean, he benched them. I mean, they talked about it all year. How there wasn't enough from Hayes, and he needed to see more and all this stuff. Like it was constant.
And Rocky Thompson called him out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he called out him. He called out Tony D. I mean, it wasn't like he was calling out guys specifically, but you could see it. You could clearly tell there were some guys that just weren't caring.
One thing about Tony, I would even not say he's one of the best defensemen yet, but he's a top end talent guy.
Yeah, no, for sure, and I think he's one of those guys that you want to be able to kind of build around. Unfortunately, that's kind of where it's at.
He's best friends with Kevin Hayes too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know, because when it comes to next season, we just don't want to see the same thing from last season and the same issues, like getting outscored, and it's too much. Like for Tortorella, I'm going to say this, but he made some bonus decisions this past season, like scratching. I'm going to say it again, like scratching Frost, and who else? Hayes, Tony, and Sanheim,
mm-hmm.
and there's not 100%. I just don't understand. Beginning of the season, he scratched Frost. Did you have any things about that where you scratched Frost at beginning of the season?
Well, yeah, he was talked about he didn't see enough and this and that and the other, and that was kind of just how it went. Like, it wasn't like anything, I don't remember if it was anything specific. I think it was more of just, he needed to see more type thing, and that's torts. That's how he gets stuff out of guys.
And what else? He called him brutal before too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he said he was up and down like a toilet seat, right? The whole thing. So, yeah, that's what you're gonna have now with Torts being here. Is you're gonna kind of have that.
Torts, like, he's a funny guy, but you cannot scratch every single player every night.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear you, and that's the thing. Those guys get scratched for a game, and then they're back in. So.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna be with us next season anyway, because.
Oh yeah, his job's safe as ever, so it's not like Torts is gonna go. It's just the players that don't want to be here, they're not gonna be here. That's the thing. But yeah, buddy, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. As always. And
and then one more thing,
mm-hmm.
Deemer last Sunday when the Kraken beat the G's out of the Stars the other night. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was a good game. Yeah, they're playing well right now. I think that's on tonight, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, 9:30. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, should be a good game. We'll see. Hackstall and the Kraken, they keep winning. So. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right, boss.
All right. See you, man.
See you.
I kind of hung up on there. Sorry, dude. Yeah, Tristan, he's a good guy. Young Das, or Das, I apologize if I messed that up. He said, Chris, my guy, bummer we stayed at 7, but at least we didn't move down. Do you still see us being able to get an impact player at 7, or potentially do we try and move up? See, I was kind of curious about this myself, and I have this kind of whole thing here. That I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, which was Bedard going to Chicago. So, Connor Bedard, the Blackhawks, they win the lottery. Of course, why not? The lottery is rigged, folks. There's absolutely no way in my mind that you can tell me any other way that this is not rigged. It's an original 6 team. It's, the whole thing with Kyle Beach, right? They cover up the entire thing, and then they just get rewarded. Here's Connor Bedard. They sold $3 million in season tickets in like one night. Like, this is where we're at right now. Like, it's a joke. So Chicago, they win. They get Bedard, right? The big prize at the end of the season. And, you know, of course, you know, look, the Flyers stay at 7, which I was fine with. I didn't want them to move back. I mentioned that before. Again, we got 10 people in here. What's up, everybody? If anybody wants to join in on the conversation, call 267-939-1216. Again, Bedard, right, goes to Chicago. They get the first pick. And you know, it's not like that they don't deserve it, right? Because I think, you know, Chicago's been a bad enough team. And rightfully so. But at the same time, I am getting a call here, so let me take this one. Go ahead, Dad. I already know what you're going to say. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Am I predictable, am I?
You're very predictable. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm not going to say it then.
No. Go ahead.
It's rigged.
Mm-hmm.
It's rigged.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, come on, man. There's no way on God's green earth that. I find it funny they don't show the ball showing.
Well, they did post it on.
Hear that. You know what? You can do anything after the fact. You can do anything after the fact in this day and age with computers and, you know, hey, we better get the ball shown in the order that we set it up. You know what I mean? I don't buy it for 1 second. Not 1 second. All right, but here's what I'm really calling about.
Mm-hmm.
You got Jamie coming on later. Yeah. I know he's probably got some guys at Nitty Gritty that, you know, could cover the the prospects and all that.
Yeah.
You should see about maybe trying to get one of them on. You know, someone that clearly covers. I'd love for Claire to come.
Yeah.
She knows. You know, kids that are still in high school. Oh, this guy's great. You know what I mean? She's somebody that you need to get on, but I don't think she would. But that's what I think. You know what I mean? And try and maybe break down like the top, 8 guys. All right, let's say Bedard's out of the picture. So, go with the top, 7, 8 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Not including him, obviously. Good, But just a thought, man. You know what I mean? To see what people's mind, what they think. Because I really don't know.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
I think for me, like, I don't really look too much. Like, I'm not the person that like proclaims themselves as a prospect person or someone that's like, oh yeah, I know a lot about this. Like, I don't have the time to sit there and watch all of them and look at this and that and the other. I kind of just look at really like the bare minimum that I can to have an idea.
We watch the World Juniors and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's like the main tournament to watch them, and then you got the World Juniors, and then there's just pretty much everything after that. Like if some of them are college guys, you can watch the Frozen Four, all that stuff. Like you kind of just like whatever you can watch is whatever you can watch. That's kind of like why Gauthier going to IIH the Worlds and same with Ronnie Adder. That's why I like that, because like you're able to see these guys again. Ronnie Adder just finished up with the Phantoms, and Gauthier we're seeing a little bit after college too. So just a little bit of like stuff like that where you can kind of pick and choose when you can kind of see guys, because it's different. Like some people obviously they cover this stuff all the time, and as soon as the as soon as the draft's on this year, you're going to be saying, oh, potential number 1 pick for 2024. Like, you're going to be saying it already. So,
Did you see that hit to what's called head?
Gauthier, yeah, I just talked about it. Yeah, it was not ideal.
I didn't know. I'm driving. And then I looked at the time, and I was like, oh, damn, it shows it. All right, man.
All right.
I'll tune in. I'll hang up and listen. Peace.
All right. See you, Dad.
Bye.
Yeah. My dad calls in every show, so there you go. So Bedard. I wanted to talk about the Kevin Weeks thing as well, because that was kind of talked about. Dank, what's up, brother? Thanks for tuning in. Exactly, Young Doss. I agree. I mean, it went from that to, of course they get him, because, why not? Flyers are going to stay at 7, though. And, I was thinking about this, like, if I'm Danny Briere, right, this is your first time, right, in the draft as GM, right? I mean, he's helped draft before, right? He helped draft Forrester, right? All this other stuff. You know, he's kind of been there these past couple of years. If I was Danny B, I think he's going to stay at 7. I think he's going to keep the pick. You know, there was a talk right here from Young Dawes asking me, you know, do you see us being able to get an impact player at 7 or potentially just move up? And I was kind of like, you know, it's just, move up is one thing, but it would depend on, to me, it would really depend on who they actually moved out to do it. Like, if you're trading, like, Hart or somebody like that, right, then that's just not ideal. But, you know, just a couple other things kind of as we get into this next segment here. Again, they're staying at 7. I don't think it's... I think there's a reason that Chicago was there, right, because they were that bad. But at the same time, you can't tell me that another team like Columbus or Anaheim or anyone else deserves it more than them, because Chicago does not deserve it more than Columbus or Arizona or Anaheim or anyone. I'm like, I would have rather put that kid in Arizona than Chicago. They, you know, it's just unfortunate. Jay asked, love the show. What are the needs after the first round pick? I'm kind of thinking that as the season goes along, I feel like everything or the offseason goes along, I should say, everything that's probably going to happen is going to be at the draft on draft night. That's my guess. And kind of like what I'm going to talk about here. So, and this is a good question to kind of segue, into the next segment. But this segment sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a really good ticket source app that you can obviously order tickets off of. If it's for sports games, you know, Flyers games, Phillies games, Eagles, Sixers, all that stuff. Really good, just picking out seats. They kind of separate the seats, like the green little circles on the app. Those are the good seats. The red, not so good, like the good deals. They have a lot of good seats just pretty much in every area of the arena that you can find. There's always good deals on there, and you can use code FlyersFanMania in all capital letters, as you see on the screen here, for $20 off of your order. So this is kind of what I was talking about here, because this kind of gets into that next segment, which is I wanted to talk about Tippett a little bit, because it's kind of similar to like the off-season stuff, like Jay's kind of mentioning. Like, you know, I would extend Owen Tippett. And I said this last show, and I kind of wanted to hint at it a little bit more. I would extend Tippett, and here's why, right? Tippett is a guy right now that's on a 2-year deal, right? He has 1 year left on it at 1.5. I would give him basically double of the same deal, 4 years at $3 million. That's what I would give Owen Tippett right now, right? You get him, okay, he's 23 years old right now. He'll be 24 at the end of next season. You're getting him essentially right up until his prime. Up until that point, pretty much like the prime years of his career, 26, 27, right? Kind of like TK's age now. If you can get him up until that point and then hopefully re-sign him again, or maybe they end up going 5 years. You know what I mean? Like, if you can get him to that point, I'm curious what everybody in the chat would think. Let me know what you think. 4 years, $3 million extension for Owen Tippett. That's kind of my ballpark. Because, again, this number is not going to go down. This number is going to stay, and it's not going to change, and Tippett's number is going to go up. You know, we're seeing it more with the younger guys in the NHL. They're getting paid, and they're getting the money right away. So I would do it now before you can, because we're already in a cap hell, essentially, until you move out some of these other picks. But 4 years at $3 million, that's kind of what I was thinking for Tippett for right now. Dank says, since 2000, only 3 first overall picks went to smaller hockey market. That's what I mean. Only 3. Columbus has never gotten it. We've never gotten it. Anaheim, never gotten it. Like, it constantly is going to these other things. Like, you know, I would say 4 years, $3 million, Owen Tippett. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well. And same thing, you know, just going off the lottery too. Like, these past couple of years, right? You've had constant, you've had constant teams just kind of getting screwed over by this, right? I mean, we ended up moving up a couple years ago, and unfortunately, it was the 17. It wasn't the best draft. The top 5 was good, and the first round had some good players, but it wasn't the best draft overall. It would have been nice if we could hit on some of the other ones, and obviously we take Patrick, and that's really what set the entire franchise back. And unfortunately that's kind of just where it is right now. But that's kind of what I'm saying, right? Because Tippett, I know I'm kind of going back and forth here, but Tippett, again, 27 goals, 22 assists, 49 points in 77 games. He would have had 50 points, right? Let's just round that up because he would have had one more point in another 5 games. He missed a couple of games at the beginning of the year with the concussion that he had in the first game. The Flyers have done this before. They locked up Farabee to an extension after 2020, 21 season. Matt Boldy, he was another one that kind of got extended pretty quickly. And especially, too, because Boldy is a guy, Boldy is a guy that, makes a good chunk of money, and on a Wild team that's really screwed with cap over these next couple of years, especially this year and the next few, they really needed to kind of add to it. So they get Boldy locked up. This stuff has been happening in the NHL these past couple of years. It's not like it's just been one time or something like that. So it's not like rocket science or anything. But I think if you can do it and you can afford it, I would do it. And I think for Tippett, it just makes sense. And really same, I would say the same thing for Frost, but he was on a 1-year deal. So excuse me. So that's kind of where I'm at. So a couple other things too. We got Jamie Basco here coming in a couple of minutes. Guryanov was another one that I was kind of thinking of. I was looking at some guys on the UFA market. He's 25. RFA. We almost had him at the deadline. He was at 2.9 for 22-23. Flyers were linked to him at the deadline, like I mentioned, and just a couple other things with him is speedy. If we can get some of those other players that are like a Tippett, right, where you kind of have to work them out a little bit, see what they can do, put them into your team, because see what happens, right? Again, I don't think a lot of this is going to be UFA, and I'll go through a lot of the UFAs here. So you have Kane, Taze, Tarasenko, Ryan O'Reilly, Van Riemsdyk, Pacioretty, Pasternak, Monahan, Lucic, Eric Stahl, Kyle Okposo, Nyquist, Drouin, Horvat, who signed, Pasternak signed as well, Zucker, Hornquist, Dadonov, Bertuzzi, Tatar, Killorn, Foligno, Brown, that's Connor Brown, JT Compher, Pavel Zacha, Alex Kerfoot, Miles Wood, Max Domi, Bergeron, and Ivan Barbashev. So, those are some of the other guys. Yeah, Dank, that's a good one as well. Denisenko. I think he was kind of rumored in the Giroux trade as well. I think so. But again, we got Jamie Basco coming up here in a couple of minutes. Out of all those guys that I just mentioned, I would sign, again, at a cheaper deal for 1 year, 1 or 2 years, Nyquist, Bertuzzi, Killorn, Foligno, Compher, Wood. Well, maybe not Wood, I don't know. Barbashev, Okposo. I'm looking for, if we could actually get, 1 or 2 veteran type of guys that maybe for a season or something kind of help out with these younger guys, I'm fine with that. I am completely fine with that. If it works with the cap, it works with the team, fine. If it's 1 season, yeah, why not? Take it on. I mean, there's really no other reason to kind of do it. So kind of as we get into the next segment here, and again, thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring that SeatGeek, or sponsoring that doesn't make sense. Sponsoring that segment, not SeatGeek. Sorry. The guest hotline, which will be Jamie here in a couple of minutes. That's sponsored by Puck Cups. You can use code CMSHOW for 10% off. Puck Cups are really cool. Yeah, exactly, Dank. You get the cup winning guys that could legitimately stay. fine, perfectly fine with me. Jamie is ringing in, but again, check out Puck Cups. I'll talk about that here at the end as well. So here he is, Jamie Basco. Jamie, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How are you?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
Yeah, dude.
How's the show going?
Good, man. It's going good so far. Again, thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. I know it was kind of last minute. I for those listening, I called Jamie at like 3:30, and I said, "Hey, you want to come on the show tonight?" So that was kind of how it went, and here we are now. So, Jamie, let's again, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy with the family. What about that lottery last night? How exciting was that to watch Connor Bedard go to the Chicago Blackhawks?
First off, aloha to everybody, and Chris, thank you for allowing me to come on. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, that was the worst time of my life watching that yesterday when the Blackhawks, obviously are going to select Connor Bedard. I don't think they deserve it. I think that with that sexual assault investigation involving Kyle Beach and the cover-up, I think that they deserve to lose 4 to 5 years worth of first-round draft picks at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they shouldn't have been able to participate in this historic draft lottery here. I just think that, and that part of me, I understand why fans believe that the draft lottery is rigged.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading an article earlier that day, and it said that, which I didn't even know, I just found out actually, they were going to have a selection done by sometime in the early afternoon hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason that they were holding off was for the show.
Right.
Obviously, for ratings and stuff, which I understand. But that's why I can't really fault fans or, these dedicated hockey fans, not only Flyer fans, but dedicated hockey fans throughout the world that, put their time and energy into their favorite teams, and not even their favorite teams, just to watch the sport because they love it. And
Mm-hmm.
the blood, sweat, and tears that go along with it, I understand why they think it's rigged. And, it's a hard debate. And I firmly believe that, Gary Bettman, I hate to say it, and Bill Daly, I'll go with him as well. I think they botched last night's, draft lottery. And I think it puts more of a black eye under the sport of hockey because you are now seeing, what Chicago, within the first hour after learning that they were going to, that they had the top pick, and obviously they're going to draft Connor Bedard,
Mm-hmm.
They sold $1.5 million worth of, season ticket plans.
Right.
I just think, I think that this does more harm than good for the sport. I think it's a horrible. I actually think it's horrible.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of where I'm at too. Like, and my thing is this. Like, I sat there last night and I thought about it. I'm like, and I'm curious what you think. Like to me, like I feel like it makes more sense because they're an original 6 team, right? And because they have such a good market. I mean, how many outdoor games do the Blackhawks get? Yeah. Like all that stuff. I mean, it all factors in. Yeah. And clearly the NHL is I think everybody could say, because I think on the same side of me, to me, for again, just at least for me, I have a side of me that's like diehard Flyer fan, and then I have a side of me that's like hockey fan, where I'm like I kind of have to intertwine the two, and sometimes there's different viewpoints from different sides. So from the hockey fan of me, that's like, oh yeah, it makes sense because Chicago's the number 1 team. But on the Flyers side of me, it's like, no, like we could have gotten it too. Like, so that's kind of where I'm at. And it's not really a question, I guess, but is that kind of something that you would agree with, I guess? Yeah,
I think you're along the same lines as me. You can't go out there and expect professional athletes to tank. And coaches for that matter to possibly move up. Yes, the Flyers could have done what the Blackhawks did in terms of tanking. No one really definitively knows if the Blackhawks were tanking.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say is that Connor Bedard is one heck of an asset for that club. They got a lot of good young youth over there. A general manager, that, no disrespect to him throughout all of this. I think he's kind of brought into the fire there. He's going to be that staple. Oh no, the Blackhawks don't. I feel bad for him as well to endure this. Because he had nothing to do with, the previous sexual assault, that the investigation is currently ongoing, but in terms of the cover up. So, but I just can't. One part of me believes that the Flyers could have done that. Another part of me believes that they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I just, with the youth, I think the youth just wanted to take over and just wanted to win as many games as possible.
Right.
I think they wanted to showcase, what they had.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then they may not be here next year. And I think that, overall, that these young prospects, you're given one shot.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know if another shot's going to become available, and then including Morgan Frost, who had tons of pressure on him coming into the season because you asked him to tank. And he may not even be in the NHL next year if that were the case. He could have been sent to the AHL or, change of scenery like Owen Tippett, to where Tippett saw some time in the AHL a lot. And then the Flyers sort of made him into a mainstay. And yes, he did play some NHL games with Florida before they traded for him and stuff like that. But he was moving back and forth between the AHL and the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a staple at the NHL level. So, and you can't ask those young prospects to, hey, let's lose. They don't know how to turn it off yet. They're still learning the game where I'm at. I think that if this was a year, maybe 2 to 3 years down the line here, this historic draft lottery, it was just bad timing for the Flyers.
Yeah,
it was bad timing in terms, in terms of hiring John Tortorella. You knew he wasn't going to tank. You knew he wasn't going to allow his players to tank.
Yeah.
It was just bad timing.
Unfortunately, and that's kind of the thing, because I kind of feel like, and look, everybody's going to be like, oh, well, the Flyers won meaningless games. Well, they did, but to those players, they're not meaningless. To us, they are, because there's no other games after the season's done. You know what I mean? Game 82 is game 82.
Yeah, you're right. During the heat of the moment, right now, as it stands, it looks meaningless. But maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, to where they have some growth in their game, and they're asked to, sort of what you would call sort of a veteran or a young veteran at that point, they may not be meaningless. Maybe these games help them, for their future. So it definitely helped Morgan Frost and Owen Tippett, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. For them to, them two young players.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's funny, like right before you came on, I was talking about a potential extension for Tippett. So, since you mentioned him, we might as well hit it. I was saying, I think Tippett, if you extended him, right now he's 23 years old. The end of next season, he'll be 24. And if you extended him, right, you still have 1 year left, right? And it's kind of similar to Farabee, right? Because it would be 5. Yeah. My deal, I was saying, which would be 4 years of $3 million for Tippett. Is that something that you would agree with for an extension?
At this particular time, I'd actually think the Flyers would have to go to 3.5. I think you're on the same wavelength there. You're almost right. It could be even as high as 4. You're seeing a potential 30-goal scorer, and there's a reason why the Flyers want to try to lock him up before he hits that 30-goal mark. You and I have hinted on that earlier. Once he hits the 30-goal mark, it goes up, $1 million to $1.5 million, possibly $2 million, depending on the market at that time for 30-goal scorer.
Mm-hmm. It seems like that number just doesn't go down for young players now either.
No, it doesn't. No, I think that with him having some experience and him having confidence going into this all season, and him being dedicated, saying, no, I'm not going to the World Championships, it doesn't hinder his game any. I actually think that I would definitely extend both him and Carter Hart to get them both locked up. So Danny Briere wouldn't have to worry about that. He will be the GM here, the 10th general manager of the Flyers history. It's a matter of if. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But I would definitely, I think 3.5, 4 per year for Owen Tippett. I think that $3 million could have been if maybe he only eclipsed the 20-goal mark.
Right.
But I think once he eclipsed that 25-goal mark, and you could be right in the end, and I hope you are, because it's less, in terms of less cap. So I mean, we don't really know. These are just overall guesses. So you might be right in the end, and I hope you are, actually.
Yeah, no, and like that's kind of the thing. Like, you have this kind of like smaller like core group of guys that you're kind of forming here, and like I probably would have said the same thing for Frost if he had got a longer deal than 1 year, and he probably will if for this summer. Just kind of going off that though, like the Flyers, they pick 7th. Well, they will be picking 7th in this upcoming lottery.
Oh yeah,
or in the upcoming draft. For you, does it seem like to you that Briere might trade that in a blockbuster, or do you seem like that he will keep it? Because for me, I think Briere would keep it. I think if you're a younger GM, obviously he has a little bit of experience with the draft, right? He helped out draft Forrester, right? He was kind of been around these past couple of years, but it seems like he's probably going to keep that pick. And I think in your first draft ever as GM and picking 7th, that's a pretty good pick unless he trades up. But, just curious kind of what you think on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, the more I thought about it after you and I had this discussion earlier, I agree with you. I think that with him being a younger general manager and he's trying to make a name for himself, I think he wants to select the best player available. And you and I have talked about this in the past. I just want to let your viewers know, it's actually not our best player available. It's the best player available to the organization. So, like, their board is entirely different from your board or my board, or even Craig Button's board, who's a very good expert. So their board, the Flyers board, maybe they have, Will Smith over Zach Benson. I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm just using that as an example. Right. And if Will Smith is still on the board, when they come at 7, and Danny Briere knows that the Red Wings aren't going to draft Will Smith, and that they're going to draft the defenseman. Who knows? Maybe they trade back like they did with Cam York, or another team for that matter. I could see it both ways, but I think that they're going to stand pat at 7. I think that Danny Briere is going to do his job as a general manager to seek what it is to move up, maybe a spot or two, or to seek what it is to move back, maybe a spot or two. Yeah. I think any good GM does that, and I think Danny Briere is going to be a good general manager. But I think that with his ties throughout the league and his contacts that he's made, I think that I firmly believe that he's just going to select his pick at 7. But I think that there are going to be some blockbusters. I think that Kevin Hayes is going to be parted with a young prospect, and I think that I think that's one deal that's going to be done at the draft for sure. But I don't think it's going to be used to move up to 3 like people expect. Or some had hinted today. I just think that they're going to make that pick at 7, and I think that I've heard something. I was just listening to a TSN interview. I think that the Montreal Canadiens they are standing pat on selecting the best player available, and if Michkov is still on the board, it sounds like Michkov will go to the Canadiens. Yeah. That's according to the interview. Anyway. So I think that's a little interesting. That might throw a monkey wrench into some things there. Maybe Zach Benson falls to the Flyers. Maybe another player falls to the Flyers that wasn't supposed to. I mean, we could talk about this for days.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's the thing. I mean, like the summer's kind of loaded, and there's like at times there's a lot to talk about. At times there's like you're scratching to find something to talk about. So yeah, I mean, I feel like that you are on the right track, though. I think there's a possibility that he's probably gonna, keep it. But at the same time, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, I wonder if the Flyers are gonna kind of be like Ottawa last year at the draft when they made that move for DeBrincat, and everybody was like, "Holy shit, look at the Senators." I just wonder if that's something the Flyers could do. And it's funny because you kind of hinted on the one question that I had, which was Hayes to Columbus, and possible return as well. But just kind of like getting off of player topic and stuff, the Flyers still have to fill in the president of hockey operations. Seems like that's going to be done by the end of this week. There's some other candidates that are kind of in the mix that haven't really been talked about. There's been different reports from Anthony DeMarco and Elliot Friedman and all this stuff. What are kind of your thoughts on the just the whole presidential search for right now and kind of where that's at, and who are some of the candidates that you would probably want over others?
Yeah, I think that the Flyers are doing their due diligence on this, and they're not rushing it by any means, and they could have. I know that and you, I'm pretty certain that you are well aware as well that they want to have this set in stone before the draft. Obviously, or to give it some time before the draft for him or her to, get into the roles, get settled into the roles, and know what exactly their role is for the upcoming draft, and that way if they don't want to intermix or interfere with any of the draft activities in terms of what their position will actually be. I think that I heard three solid names. These are I heard Scott Mellenby. I've heard Dave Pullen, and I heard Scott Mellenby, Dave Pullen. I heard obviously Eddie Olczyk was rumored in the beginning, and now he's being rumored again by Anthony DeMarco.
Yeah.
So I could definitely foresee him in that role as well. I did hear of Ray Sherrow. Yeah, that's it exactly. Yeah, Ray Sherrow. But I think that it's kind of interesting. I saw a report from the Islanders would Lou leave, and I wonder if that throws a monkey wrench into what the Flyers wanted. Maybe they interviewed Lou Lamoriello, from the New York Islanders. I don't know. I'm just saying. I did see a report that Lou might leave the Islanders, so I don't know if maybe that's what the holdup is with the Flyers, because it seemed like, from what Anthony is a very credible person, so it seemed like the Flyers were like all in on Eddie Olczyk, and for them to like sort of retract, not retract, but they go from being hot on him and saying, oh, okay, well, the end of the week, that's what I heard on Sunday, was the end of the week, sometime this week. Middle to the end of the week is when they would definitely have a president of hockey ops. If they knew exactly it was Eddie, I think they would have hired him. That's what I wonder, if there was a candidate that is a monkey wrench in all of this.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah, you're right.
Like Elliot Freeman, he had mentioned that there's some other people in this, and he mentioned with Billy King, obviously being with Comcast and the Sixers and everything, that's kind of a different thing with this, and that there might be another type of candidate that maybe we don't know or anything like that. So it's sure going to be interesting. I mean, especially because now you got I think 6 weeks till the draft.
Yeah.
So,
but I see some good senior advisors that can happen. You heard of Eric Lindros. Obviously, he was rumored in the beginning for a position. I could see him becoming maybe a senior advisor to the president, like Chris Pronger was in Florida. Yeah. I could see Chris Pronger maybe taking over that role, because Chris Pronger's name was, filtered in as well. I see maybe them being senior advisors. Maybe they, maybe Paul Holmgren and his Bob Clark and Bill Barber, maybe they take a step back and are moved into the organization in some other type of way, and then they take over that role. I just think that Danny Briere, for one, I think is a smart man, and I think that he's seeing everything play out, and I think that he's staying out of the way. But I think Dan Hilferty is a lot smarter than what people give him credit for. Yeah. I think he was actually a good hire to be the board governor for the Flyers. So I see him, having a lot of contacts and knowing he knows what he wants. And and I just think that there's one or two candidates that we don't know, and I wonder if it is possibly. And I'm not saying it is, but I wonder if I wouldn't be shocked to hear that Lou is possibly interviewed for a position.
Right. No, for sure. And that's kind of the thing, right? I mean, there's going to be so many different things that can kind of change with this. And it could end up being someone that we didn't really expect, or, could end up being, or like Ray Sherrow or something. So who knows? I mean, it's kind of going to go back and forth, and hopefully by my guess will be Friday, or maybe the weekend, so we can maybe get some clarity on it. Just a couple more. Cutter Gauthier, Ronnie Attard, they're both going to Team USA for the Worlds. Scott Lawton going for Team Canada. Unfortunately, I'm sure you saw it, but Cutter actually got hurt a little bit, unfortunately, with that hit. I didn't see anything else that if he's out or if he's, came back into the game, anything like that. Unfortunately, that seemed like a pretty gnarly hit. But outside of the injury, what are kind of your thoughts on the Worlds and, obviously the couple guys that we have kind of going over, especially for Gauthier, and if he is able to play, it seems like he'll be getting some pretty decent ice time and play with some legit NHL guys. Same thing with Ronnie Attard.
Yeah, so Stern received a major for that hit, for that elbow.
Yeah.
So that means that I'm praying to God that it's not a more significant injury than what is being led on. I actually think he's going to be held out here for at least a week. I think Cutter's going to miss, and I think it's just out of precautions because sometimes when you get hit in the head like that, it was a violent elbow hit. It was pretty violent, and when you sustain a hit like that, sometimes you got to give it 2, 3, 4 days before a concussion. Sometimes a concussion comes forth or you have some symptoms. So if I'm Team USA, I hold them out for about a week until they absolutely need him. Not saying that they won't in the beginning of the tournament. When the tournament starts on May 12th. So at least there's a few days there before the tournament actually starts. Maybe he returns, maybe for the second or third game. Mm-hmm. But, all in all, I think it's Scott Laughton. We know what to expect from him. We knew he was the leader, so I'm not surprised he was named an alternate captain for Team Canada. So I think that was kind of neat. Right. I'm not surprised by that in any means. I'm sure you're not surprised either, given his leadership on and off the ice. And he's really stepped up this year in terms of his leadership role, and Torts raved about it, and so did Danny. Mm-hmm. And but I think that this is really good for Cutter and Ronnie in terms of experience. They're playing in a tournament against men, as opposed to playing in an under 18 tournament or of that nature. Not taking anything away from those particular tournaments, but this is a tournament against NHLers. So I think that they could actually make a case and say, hey, maybe I'm NHL ready. I'm not playing against 17, 18-year-olds. I'm now playing, or Ronnie Attard, with being in the NCAA, maybe possibly playing against 21, 22, and 23-year-olds. But you're playing against absolutely established NHLers for the most part.
Right.
I think that is kind of neat, and I think that is great experience for these two young players in particular. Again, Scott Laughton, we know what to expect, so I'm not, shocked on how he's going to perform, and I'm not shocked that he was obviously an alternate captain, but for Cutter and Ronnie, I think that this is a big tournament for them.
Yeah, no,
and
for sure.
I pray and hope. I should have something sometime tonight from a source that did reach out to in terms of this to hear about Cutter, but I like how they kept him out the rest of the game, and that does not mean that he sustained a head injury. Mm-hmm. That just means that they could have kept him out for precautions. So let's not jump off the cliff here. But I think that they're going to hold him out. I don't think he plays the first game. I really don't. I don't think he plays Friday. I think that that's just my thoughts.
Right. No, for sure. I mean, again, USA, they start on Friday. I believe it's Finland on Friday, I think, from the last time I checked at the schedule. I'd have to look and double check, but just again, Jamie, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I do appreciate you hopping on as always. Always good talking to you, dude. Obviously, from working together and all that stuff. So, dude, thanks again. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good rest of your night.
Man. Thanks a lot, man. It's a heck of a time coming on to your show, man. You've really done a really good job, and I can see why a lot of viewers like this. And please tune in every show that Chris has. It's usually Tuesday nights. So just tune in and continue to give him some support. It's full of flyers knowledge. I think that him and I know the sport pretty well, and I think that's why we get along so well. That's one of the reasons why we get along so well anyway.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah, for sure.
But he actually has, a lot of sources as well and knowledge that I think that separates him from a lot of other people and a lot of, the other shows that are out there in terms of Flyers broadcasts. So just keep supporting Chris.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And, obviously keep supporting Jamie and Nitty Gritty and all them guys because, those guys do a lot of work. And, it does not go unnoticed, especially when Jamie's tweeting at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the morning. And you're seeing it all day. So, yeah, dude, again, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, great.
All right, man. I'll talk to you.
All right, bye-bye.
See you, man. Bye. There he is, Jamie Basco, on the guest hotline sponsored by Puck Cups. That was great. Jamie's awesome. Always good stuff. That was the other one, C-Mac. Cami Granado, that's kind of donezo. And same with, what was her name? Caston Gay from Vancouver. That was the other one. That's all I got, ladies and gentlemen, for this week. Thanks again to Jamie for hopping on kind of last minute, as well. Good show this week. Lots to talk about. Going to be doing some more, next week. I got some more stuff coming. And again, if anybody is interested, on the website or anything regarding the website, let me know. Message me, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, doesn't matter. Thanks everybody again for all the support. At the end, thank you to the sponsors, Puck Cups and SeatGeek, for sponsoring the show. And I'll talk to you all again next